now we're going to work on the plain waistband. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the elastic and I'm going to put it together, overlap a little bit, and zigzag this closed. I go over it 3 or 4 times. Threads. All right, now I have already serged the waistband closed, right sides together, lined up like this, and I've serged that closed. So now I'm going to flip it around. If you wanted to take this piece and iron it in half before you serged it, you sure could. That would probably make things a little bit easier. I don't do that, but you sure can. All right, so I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm actually going to go ahead and mark this into quarters. So I've got this folded in half, and I'm going to put a clip the halfway point, and then I'm going to take it, lay it on itself here, and I'm going to clip these other points as well. This is going to do a couple things. It's going to help us stretch our elastic so that it's even, and it's also going to help hold the waistband closed because, like I said, I don't iron them. You can, but the truth, it's mostly just because I'm lazy and I don't want to take the time to do it, and this works for me. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the elastic, halfway, mark it with a clip, same thing here, mark it with a clip and a clip. If you don't have clips, you can definitely use pins for this. You could also just draw on the elastic with a Sharpie. It would be harder to do on the waistband. I start with this back seam with the seam, because this is going to go in the back of the skirt ultimately, eventually. And so when I backtrack over the seam, you're not going to see that in the front of the garment. So I've got it lined up here, so it's folded in half. I'm just going to kind of hold on to that. Whoops, maybe. I'm going to tuck my elastic up in there. And my seams are flat. Everything's lined up. So I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to tuck it into my sewing machine. Feeling the elastic underneath to make sure that it's staying where it's supposed to. Start my zigzag. And now I've got the quarter of my elastic and the quarter of my waistband. Take that off because I can feel it still. Tuck that up in there. So it's going to go. It's lined up. Make sure the edges of my waistband are lined up. I've got everything kind of pulled out. I like to stop with my needle in so that nothing slips. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Got it. My halfway mark. Just kind of paying attention to where everything is here. Line that up. Stretch it out. Make sure that my edges are lined up down here. Final time. Band and elastic. Adjust this to line it up as needed. Okay. Oops. This is where swim can sometimes be a little tricky. There we go. It's okay if it's not perfect. Also, if you are concerned, seriously, take a couple minutes to just iron it in half so you've got a guide there and it's fine. Just be careful using your iron on the spandex that you don't melt it. So now I'm coming back around, so I didn't have any clips to remove. And I'm going to over that seam there. Now I'm back on my original stitching, which I'm going to backtrack over to lock everything in place. And that is it. Your waistband is done if you're not doing the zipper waistband. One thing that can be helpful at this point, if you want, is to go through and sew these edges together, because then it's just one less thing that you have to mess with when you're putting your skirt together. So you can either do that on your serger, you can do it with just a basting stitch, you can do it with a straight stitch, but sometimes it's easier to do that and just to secure these edges so that it's one instead of two layers that you have to mess with when we put the final product together.